Encourage. I'm encouraging you to please join this platform on Focal Online TV where we discuss issues concerning women. We talk about health issues, we talk about career issues, we talk about those challenging things we face in our daily lives as women. Please do not be deterred because you are not a woman at a particular age. Be reminded you can be a girl, you can be a teenager, you can be a woman, and you can still join this conversation. Please join me every Wednesday at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. where I drill you through with an interesting conversation relating to us women. So please stay with me on Focal Online TV where we bring you innovation to broadcasting. Thanks for watching. I am your host, Gregphina, saying have a blessed day.
Good afternoon and welcome to Focal Online TV. Today marks our discussion as women relating to the issue of violence. So welcome to Focal Women Talk. This is the point where we discuss issues that are relevant in our community, issues that are harmful to us. We bring these issues on the table, we find solutions, and we work on them. So you are welcome to Focal Women Talk. We air out this show every Wednesday at 1 p.m. and I'm glad having you all watching and joining us as we will be discussing key issues today. The broad topic today is violence. We will be talking about violence and we will be discussing violence in all forms. So do not say, okay, so you're only talking about violence because of assault, you're only talking about violence because of rape or sexual XYZ. So I'm barely talking about violence in all forms today, and I will need your attention as we drive through this important key conversation today. You know, violence is something that we need to talk about. It's something that we need to act on. It's something that we need to practice how to control our anger as it relates to violence. So stay with me. Let's discuss this important issue. I am your host on the Focal Women Talk here every Wednesday at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. This is a 1-hour talk show. So you are welcome. If you are watching, you can just drop your comment in the comment section and you could just join us and follow us, or better still, you could share our live stream. Invite someone to join you to watch and listen to this important discussion we're going to be having today as it relates to violence. So today we're going to be talking about violence in all forms, and I want your attention, I want your input, and I want you to stay with me as we go through this time. We take a short break. When we get back, we run straight play into our conversation as it relates to violence today. Please stay with me, please.
I don't know about you, but I'm always feeling good when it comes to conversation relating to women. So every Wednesday, we air out our women conversation on the Focal Women Talk. And of course, I am your presenter and your host, Gregphina Courage Pa. I love to be called Courage. I'm encouraging you to please join this platform on Focal Online TV where we discuss issues concerning women. We talk about health issues, we talk about career issues, we talk about those challenging things we face in our daily lives as women. Please do not be deterred because you are not a woman at a particular age. Be reminded you can be a girl, you can be a teenager, you can be a woman, and you can still join this conversation. Please join me every Wednesday at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. where I drill you through with an interesting conversation relating to us women. So please stay with me on Focal Online TV where we bring you innovation to broadcasting. Thanks for watching. I am your host, Gregphina, saying have a blessed day.
Okay, this is how I welcome you officially, folks, to this brand new day on Wednesday where we discuss violence on the Focal Women Talk. If you are watching live from the diaspora, I'm saying a pleasant good afternoon to you. I'm broadcasting live from Focal Online TV here within the Tubo Village community along the Japanese Highway. For today, we're going to be discussing violence as it relates to our present situation or our present issues as we face come October 10 electoral um electoral day. So this particular issue is crucial and I want your attention as we dive into it. Violence is defined or violence means the use of physical force. Violence is the use of physical force with the intent to injure another person or destroy property. So, violence is a physical force with the intent to injure another person or destroy property. So, whenever you injure another person, whenever you destroy another person's property, that is an act of violence. What am I saying? For example, if you get into a conversation with someone and then all of a sudden the conversation turns to go on the wrong side that you are not in favor of, and then you try to react, the aspect of you reacting and destroying a property or maybe breaking a chair, or you want to show, yeah, you want to show that attitude, you want to show that emotions, you like breaking a chair or slapping someone or destroying a property or injuring someone. So whenever you act in that way is a form of violence. It relates to violence. So remember that violence is a physical force with the intent. You have that intent. My intention was the person talking to you, why you behave that way? The way I wanted to slap that girl, my intent was to slap her that she would just on out that she will hit the wall. I mean, that particular physical force you use is a violence, is a form of violence. So you don't say or you don't act on these things, because when you injure someone or you destroy property, you act in a violent manner. So we're gonna be talking about violence. Mind you, aggression is different from violence. Aggression is different from violence. Aggression is in a general form, it has to do with anger or that violent feeling or behavior. Aggression, it has to do with anger or violent feeling or behavior. So you see, a person who is aggressive does not necessarily act out with violence. Yes. You see, people tell you that woman that is working to that office, she too aggressive. So you being aggressive does not necessarily act out with violence. Yes. It doesn't necessarily act out with violence. It just shows you are aggressive because of your behavior, because of your feelings, your anger issue and everything. It shows that you are aggressive. So you being aggressive does not make you a violent person. So understand that violence is something that trigger, is something that injure another person or destroy property. So all forms of violence is wrong. All forms of violence is prohibited. All forms of violence is not, it's not good, it's not okay. So do not, as a young person or as a female, do not get yourself involved in act that will lead to violence, or do not get yourself in act that will lead to aggression. So you see, when you are aggressive, you need to be talked to. You sometimes need a mental health professional to carry on a therapy with you. That aggressive attitude. There are some females, there are some males who, when you having a conversation with someone, you be like, I don't want to talk to that girl. That girl is aggressive. I don't know how. I mean, she is a receptionist and she's so aggressive like that. She is a HR person and she's aggressive. I don't want to be bothered. So you see, if you have this issue with aggression, or you are aggressive, you need a therapy. You need someone to carry on a mental therapy with you. You need a mental health professional to deal with you so that it doesn't lead, because people who are aggressive, they are at the verge of always being in the act of violence. So you need to be talked to so that it could level down, so that it can reach to the severe stage where you will become more violent on issues. So yes, so common form, violence is relatively is a common type of human behavior. Yes, let me say that. Violence is a common type of human behavior that occurs throughout the world. So everyone, one way or the other, we have behaved in a violent manner. We have done something violently. So people of any age may be violent. Yeah, that's great. People of any age may be violent. Even a child at the age of 3, you take that toy from them and you give it to another child. Sometimes they act on it. They go hit the child or go to that child and check it from them. I mean, all ages, right? People of any age may be violent. People of any age may be violent. People of any age may be aggressive. People of any age may be violent. May be. I hope you understand that. May be violent. Although older and adolescents and young adults are most likely to engage into violent behavior. Why is it that adolescents and young adults are more likely to engage into violent behavior? Is because, I mean, adults interact with people mostly. Young adolescents have friends. Adolescents have groups that they move in line with. Young adults have people they talk to at their workplace. I mean, you are in a society that love to bully. You are in a society that love to discriminate. You are in a society where um you have to stand up for yourself. So people, adolescent, young adult, most of the time they are faced with violent behavior. So violence has a number of negative effects on those who witness or experience it. This is so real. If you witness someone slapping someone, or for a child coming up and that child always see their father beat on their mother, or that child always see their mother beating on their siblings or beating on themselves, sometimes it plays a negative role in their upbringing. And then when they reach at a stage, maybe if they are adults or they are well married and XYZ. You see sometimes these things that happened in the past, it now transition into their livelihood, and then it cause problem. So negative effects of violence, I mean, it is really witness, or it affects children. Yes, negative effects of violence on those who witness it. I mean, it have serious effects on children. So sometimes those who are negatively affected on or those who witness or experience it, and children are mostly susceptible in it, right? So most of the time children are being the ones who are being harmed because of violence act. So you see, fortunately various programs have been successful at preventing and reducing violence. So they have a lot of programs that help to reduce the form of violence. You have a lot of programs in Liberia. You have a lot of training. You have a lot of gospel programs. You have a lot of you have a lot of youth programs and everything. So get your children involved at an earlier stage. Try to talk to them. Try to study at home. Try to discipline them, even if it is happening, because there are children who, once they witness the act of violence, they try to practice it. You see, fighting in a community, this other person pick up cutlass, this other person pick up this, you having your children watching, and then whenever, I mean, that particular child have to experience maybe a fight one day, will tend to react the same way she saw it maybe from the past or in the community, or she saw her parents fighting and everything. So you see, these are things that are harmful, and most of the times children are affected. Yes, children are affected, and it's something that needs to be worked on. So do not even expose your children to violence, maybe violence scene or violence act. Do not expose the children. Whenever you are seeing someone fighting, someone abusing, someone doing something out of the way, do not let the child to watch it. Even in a movie where you see people go for knife, people do this, people do that. It's just for fun, you might say, but it's something that needs to be worked on. Do not allow the children to look at that, because you see, children are especially susceptible to its harm. So you have to be really, really careful. Yes, you have to be careful. So there are different types of violence. Violence can be categorized in number of ways. Violent crimes are typically divided into four main categories. So based on the nature of the behavior. So you see homicide, the nature of the behavior, the killing of one human being by another. So you see homicide is another form of violence. Yes, it's another form of violence. So violence is being categorized in number of ways. Number of ways. Violent crimes are typically divided. So you have the homicide. They are divided on the nature of behavior. You see the killing of one human being by another. You see human being killing human being. You see human being kidnapping another human being, abusing that human being, cutting off that human being. So depending on the nature of behavior, right? So that is how we categorize violence. So you see, sometimes for legally justifiable reason, human being can kill human being for legally justifiable reason. Regardless of that, sometimes people can just kill people for no reason. Some people who have these mental health issues, some people who are psychopath, you see most of the times they happen in the Western world. America, you see sometimes you just see you watching a movie, you see this guy, he kidnapped this guy, this lady, or he kidnapped his friend, tied him up. I mean, and killed them. So you see these things happen based on the person's behavior. So that particular act of violence is called homicide. That is a killing of one human being by another. And then you have assault, physically attacking another person with the intent to cause harm. Yes, assault. So assault is another form of violence. You have to understand that physically attacking someone, get my money, you get my money today. You will not go, you call out the person, you pull the person close, or maybe you tear the person blast. You ain't today for me and you. I mean, you assaulting a person, that is a form of violence. It can lead to any act of violence. So you have to be careful. Assault is another form of violence. Homicide is another form of violence. The killing of another person by another person is homicide. Assault, physically attacking another person with the intent to cause harm. That's your intent. Today, I can't purposely because you're not going to work, or with the screw the whole the place where you are, it will be too small for you. That's how we react. Assault, and then we assault someone, right? So physically attacking another person with the intent to cause harm. It's you're attacking the person won't find a way out. You're not going to there, you push out when the person push it door, when the person try to open the door, you push it door on the person. You sometimes call the person, do not tear the person close. That is an assault. And it needs to be worked on. So another form of violence again is robbery. Forcibly taking something from another person. That is a form of violence. Robbery. So you you are a person who rob people, and then all of a sudden you hear that okay, this person has money and XIZ. You go to the person's house, you rob them, you because it's not for you, and you are forcibly taking something that doesn't belong to you. That is a form of violence. Yes, remember we said that violence is a physical force. It's a physical force to injure another person or destroy property. Mind you, violence will not always be the act of fighting. It will not always be, but sometimes it happen in a maximum range. It happen like that. But sometimes the issue of violence can be so different. The issue of violence, the robbery, the fact that the person will not go and harm you, but they'll carry harmful tools. They'll carry a gun, they'll carry a knife. You, if you give me your bag, I will choke you with a knife. All of a sudden, the person hand that bag over to you, you go. So that you didn't choke the person with a knife, but you forcibly took something from someone that does not belong to you. So that is a form of violence. That is a form of violence. Robbery. Robbery. Assault. Physically attacking another person with the intent to cause harm. Assault. So you see, then we have another form of violence, that is rape. Yes, rape is another form of violence. And in other words, you say sexual violence. Yes, that's how you would call it. But rape is another form of violence. Rape is another form of violence that needs to be worked on, and we will continue to talk about the issue of rape. We will continue to talk about the issue of rape. So sexual forceful sexual intercourse, or forcible sexual intercourse with another person. Like, my body is my body. I should be respected for that, and I should decide who to have sex with or who not to have sex with. So if you are a person and you feel intimidated by that, and then you want to show up, and then you get so mad at it, you plan that I'll rape this girl. All of a sudden, somewhere I usually pass, and then you go, you set a camp, you go there, you hold my hands, you tie me. You forcibly had sexual intercourse with me, right? That is a form of violence. Violence is a form of violence. Violence is a physical force. You apply force to that. The fact that you took my hands, you tie it, you shove cloth to my mouth, that is a form of violence. That is a form of violence. And that form is called rape. It's also called sexual violence, but it is in depth when we talk about sexual violence. So that particular aspect, forcibly having sexual intercourse with another person, is another form of violence. So other forms of violence overlap with these categories, such as child sexual abuse. Yes, child sexual abuse is another form of violence. It's another category, right? And then engaging in sexual act with a child. And domestic violence. Domestic violence is violent behavior between relatives, usually spouses. Domestic violence, where you see in a home, your pa can look at a man, slap the man, tear the man clothes, say you go to that door or you do anything, touch my child, I will beat you in front of children, or maybe you're a relative or something. That is domestic violence that needs to be worked on. So we talk about different forms of violence today. We talk about homicide, we talk about assault, we talk about robbery, we talk about sexual intercourse, forcibly sexual intercourse, that is rape. We talk about child sexual abuse. We talk about domestic violence as well. So violence can be categorized according to its motivation. Yes. Reactive or emotional violence typically involves the expression of anger or hostile desire to hurt someone that arises in response to or perceived provocation. So you see that whenever you are faced with this form of violence, it's good that you try to do away with it. Violence is something that you need to stop. It's something that is not good. It's something that is harmful. It's something that have effects. It's something that causes you your life. Sometimes you being involved in a violent act will just make you lose your life. And that's just it. Just make you lose your livelihood. You'll not be able to experience it, because maybe you go into a fight with someone and all of a sudden the person lose their life. Yourself, you're not gonna have that peace of mind again. You're not gonna have that peace of mind again. You're gonna ruin in jail for the rest of your life. So these things, you need to work on them. You actually need to work on them. You need to work on your anger. Your anger, you need to work on it. Your anger shouldn't lead you into violent act. Proactive or instrumental. Violence is more calculated and is often performed in anticipation of some reward. So you see, most of the times, violence is proactive. Violence is proactive and instrumental. Instrumental. Something is instrumental, you all know. When something is instrumental and when something is important. When you are instrumental, you are instrumental person. You are important. You people can go without you. Like, you are so important, you have that influence, you are influential. When something is instrumental, yes. So you see, violence plays that role. So another method of categorizing violent behavior involves distinguishing between predatory and effective violence. So predatory violence involves plain acts of hostile force. And effective violence is more implosive and unplanned. Yes, effective violence is more implosive and unplanned. So most of the times, like you don't really expect like, no man, I'll calm down. And I didn't really expect that girl to behave like me working on the bridge. She just came out to me and slapped me, and I just reacted because I didn't expect it. That is effective violence, right? So like it's implosive and unplanned. You didn't plan to do it, but it happened all of a sudden. Like you got in a keke and someone tried to like grab your bag or grab something from you, and like you reacted. That is effective violence. It's not unplanned, but it's more impulsive that you do what you do what you did. So other types of violence have been suggested, including irritable violence motivated by frustration, and territorial violence motivated by intrusion into one perceived territorial space. So you see, we will run quickly to the causes of violence. So one point that all researchers or all those who want to manage their violent issues needs to know is that violence seems to agree, or violence is multicultural, mm? Meaning that no single factor is responsible for violent behavior. Get it straight. No single factor is responsible for violent behavior. So you see, someone will insult you. You in a taxi, maybe you're driving, you're trying to wheel down, like yes, you're trying to drive the car, and then a keke or maybe the motorbike, the motorcyclist insult you. Nobody, I mean, everybody will see that that motorcyclist insults you. But if you get down from your car and go and slap the motorcyclist, oh, then the issue will be worse. All those who watch a motorcyclist insult you will now turn out. Kind of roommate so. What kind of arrogant woman so? Why you be there that woman? Don't behave there that. You just jump on, you slap the man, then that is it. So this particular message is just so clear that violence is multi-cultural, meaning there's no single factor that is responsible for violent behavior. No single factor that is responsible. Violence results from a combination of factors, including those originating in violent persons, like social or cultural environment, and those representing immediate situational force. So that is that for the causes of violence. So you see that violence is sometimes multi-cultural, is multi-cultural at times, meaning that there is no single factor that is responsible. There's no single factor that is responsible for violence. No single factor. It doesn't even make sense. Why you should slap someone? Why you should hit? Why you should kill someone? Or because someone insulted your parents, so you decided to slap the person. It doesn't show. It doesn't. It's not multi-cultural. It doesn't show a single factor why you should do that. You don't do that. I mean, sometimes you have to weigh the situation. Why should I even reply this guy who is cursing my mother? That's why we say to ourselves, I will never allow anyone to curse my mother. So the day someone reach out to you and insult your parents, take them to the police station or take them to law. You don't have to react in a violent manner. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't give a single factor that is responsible for that act. I will slap you, then we'll go to police station. Why can't you go to police station? Why you want to slap your person first and then waste your time going to police station? So it's good that you just go to the police station, report your case, and let the law deal with the person. You don't have to behave in a violent form. Yes, you don't have to behave. So sometimes again, instead violence results from a combination of factors, including originating in violent persons, social or cultural environment, and those representing immediate situational force. Yes. That is the violence result from a combination of factors. So you see people from cultural environment and those representing immediate situational forces. Most of the time, situational forces where you see lime green is against yellow. You see, lime green will be protesting, yellow will be protesting. All of a sudden, Sonny was just happy. Maybe lime green will say something or yellow will say something. Boom! It becomes a term like a term to be a violent situation, and then you see people reacting in a violent manner. So these are things. So for you that is listening to me, you have to examine multiple factors within a person that may contribute to violence. You have to, you have to recognize, you have to examine multiple factors within a person that may contribute to violence, including genetics, predisposition, and some neurochemical stuff. So these are things, maybe partly high testosterone. Those who are biology students will understand the level. Sometimes personality characteristics, lack of empathy for others. Some people who don't have sympathy for others. Some people who don't just care. Some people who have low self-esteem. Some people who quick to who are emotional. Yes, let me say that. Some people who are emotional, so emotional. Sometimes personal characteristics now. Sometimes it leads to a violent situation. So, and the tendency to view others' action as hostile in the experience of abuse or neglect as a child. So you see that all of these things have a role to play. Empathy for others, you don't care, you don't want to know how someone feel about you. So these are things that people, these are things that people face, and these are things that people go through. So these are all violent forms that needs to go away. So you see, if you if you see yourself in this situation, you have to, or if you see another person in that situation, you have to, what you have to do is examine multiple factors within a person, examine that multiple factors. Sometimes has to do with maybe some biological problem. Maybe they were born with some brain issues or something. Yeah, sometimes it leads to them always being in a form of violence. Like one thing we say, oh, the person gets PO, or sometimes we say, oh, this person doesn't have. Some people are just emotional, some people just get vexed, and all of a sudden when you cool them down, they will be like, they will not even know what they did. So you see, some of these things are maybe they're having brain problem, or they're having some predisposition and neuro chemical, abnormal, or I don't know, abnormalities, some kind of way the biology people can call it. So you see, you have to work on these things. So there are effects of violence. There are a lot of effects of violence. So the first thing, regardless of the cause of violence, violence has a negative impact on those who experience or witness it. I said it to you earlier that violence has a negative impact. We say a negative effect, but now we say negative impact. A impact, even a part that you watching, a part that, for example, you see in some of these American movies, you see people, children will watch maybe another person coming to their home and kill their parents, and that particular child who watched that scene will build on that scene, will build on that violent act, and will want to react. It plays a impact that child. Like, you kill my parent, no matter it take 100 years, I will react to it. And then that child, when that child grow up, that child will train, that child will find all of the information about you, about your children, about everything, and that child will react in that situation. So you see, regardless of the cause of violence, what causes violence, regardless of it, violence has a negative impact on those who experience or who witness it. So if you have experienced violence, partly you experience it because you are fighting someone. That's another form where it has a negative impact. Your experience by fighting or by engaging in assault, by engaging in robbery, the effect could be you go to jail for the rest of your life. You rape somebody, you go to jail. The effect could be you went to rob somebody and somebody kill you, all in the name of self-defense. The effects could be long due to your experience. And another thing, those who witness the form of violence or those who witness the act violence could also, be impacted to in a negative way. So, like, you witness it, like I said, you witness someone beating your mother always. They say that you will prepare yourself. You want to reach certain age that you can fully handle the situation. They say you reach at that age and you see your past slapping your mind, you will react to that situation. So, or better still, you will carry in your home. So these are violence acts that needs to be worked on. These are things that need to be worked on regardless of a cause. bear me witness today. Regardless of its cause, violence has a negative impact on those who experience or witness it. Yes. Those who experience or witness violence, it has a negative impact. That's why when you see people fighting, or someone and someone fighting, do not go and stand there. The fact that you're standing there to watch it has a negative impact on you. Somebody might be fighting, somebody might throw a bottle you there, you will be hurt. And at the rest of your life, you have that scar on you, and you will tell the story. It's a negative impact. Nobody call you there. Why did she go to do that? So you see, violence is something that has a negative impact on those who experience or those who witness it. So you need to be careful. Notify our viewers and the Brooklyn Jala. Good topic. Lawrence Peter show watching live from Miami. So Lawrence Peter is watching live from Miami. Thanks for joining us. If the National Executive and Judiciary need to enforce the Violence Act, it could seize down the number of violence. But in our country, people only see violence at the critical level once it comes against women. Yes, which of course is actually bad. Violence is broad. It's not only women can suffer from violence issue. The issue women suffer from partly assault, sex, and rape. Yes, these are all violence. These are all sexual violence. But wide range violence is bigger than that. Violence is not only categorized to rape. It's not only categorized to assault. Violence is categorized to a lot of things. They have domestic violence. They have abuse. They have robbery. They have a lot of form of violence. A lot. They have and child sexual abuse. They have like I said, domestic violence. They have homicide, where you see another man will kill another man. Like the issue presently that we don't know the full story yet, because there have not been a conclusion on the case, the murder case of Councillor Gloria Scott. So you see, all of these things, robbery, all of these things, the government needs to talk about it. The government needs to put on the act, to work on the act, to ensure that violence be gone, or be dealt with when someone behave in a violent manner. So again, I will tell you that violence is something that is not good. Violence has a negative impact on those who experience or witness it. Anytime you see people gather somewhere, you see people fighting, find yourself depart from that particular area. Find yourself a comfortable area to stand for that minute until that whole issue is dissolved before you take your exit. Do not go and stand. Do not go, yeah. Me, I let it fries, I let it cheese. Most of the girls in like, bro. Yeah, moving for yeah. I want to see me like bro, right in your story. Bro, I'm for all of these things. While standing to see me in like bro, somebody can chunk you, somebody can do anything, and you will be harmed, and that will be a negative impact because of violence. So you have to be very careful. Violence can cause physical injury as well as psychological harm. So violence can cause physical injury. Like I said, you go, you fight someone, the person stab you. Partly you might not die, but that scar remain, or you have to live with that illness, or you have to live with that situation for the rest of your life, and you have to explain the story. Or psychological harm. Someone you will be, maybe you and the person, due to the act and the behavior of the person, it might lead to robbery. Partly the person going to rob you, it have that psychological harm. You're a rich person, all of a sudden somebody just rob you, you lose all of your properties, you lose all of your wealth, everything. It try to play on your mind. It try to play on your mind. So it has psychological harm as well. So some psychological disorder, including post-traumatic stress disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder, wherein yes, you have this stress disorder, and you sometimes it traumatizes you, like you didn't expect it. When someone rape you, it has a psychological effect. Yes, it's bad, and because it's a form of violence, it sometimes it's the stigma is there. You become traumatized, you become stressed. Sometimes you even have to leave the environment you are in. Sometimes you have to travel. Still, you still have this psychological harm attached to this particular aspect of violence. So dissociative identity disorder, you have borderline personality disorder, yes. And also they are associated with experiencing or witnessing violence. All of these things, they are associated with you witnessing or experiencing violence. So other psychological symptoms such as depression, yes, violence may lead to depression. The rape you hear today, or someone assault you, like I said before in my previous conversation last week, the issue with Naomi, Naomi was assaulted, and you know yourself as a young person, if you watch the interview with her, it's so sad, because Naomi explained when the journalist interviewed her, like she knowing herself as a young person coming up, and everyone know her to be that cool person. Not she is not known for like exposing her body or disguising herself on social media or XYZ, and all of a sudden that incident occur. And then she was assaulted, her clothes were torn up, she was beaten severely, and all of those things. So right, it has a psychological effect, and some of the effect could be depression. Naomi needs to be counseled, Naomi needs to be talked to, Naomi needs to be, she needs a therapy because she can't get over it. Everybody is screaming the girl picture. Can you imagine you have people even creating flyers, Naomi versus Vivian, Sachek versus this and that. And then the video is something that she will live with. She will have to live with for the rest of her life, because that thing is all over. She will even have to explain this story. And one of the therapy is she have to. One thing I can say is, if someone is watching or is listening to me, the first thing she have to do is to accept the situation. When I'm saying accept the situation, not like, yeah, so if you're alright to BB, no, that's not what I'm saying. Accepting a situation that this has happened, I have my life and I have to move on. She have to accept the situation, and she have to build up her confidence now, because that stigma is there. People are going to talk about it. Even her friends, her neighbors, even her father, her mother will talk to her about it. Like, when she try to go astray again, maybe she try to make mistakes in life, it'll be like, you remember that incident that happened, you feel we'll take that, would not take that. She has it for the rest of her life to live with. So she partly needs to be counseled. She needs a therapy with some mental personnel, someone who has idea on mental health issue, to counsel her, to do a therapy with her. Because like, you even talking to her on the video, she said I wanted to check him and say, these are things that happen. So other psychological symptoms such as depression, anxiety, mood swings. This is what violence does. So you have to work on that. And then you have common infactiments of violence. So you have to be careful on how you experience violence. You have to be careful on how you witness a form of violence. So you have to be very, very careful. Naomi experienced it. She experienced a form of violence, and she was not just beaten, but she was assaulted. So it has a psychological problem. So it needs to be worked on. So how can you prevent violence? Prevention of violence. So because the tendency to behave violently developed during childhood, most prevention programs target young people. Yes, most prevention programs target young people. So the first thing you have to do to prevent violence, you have to like attend some attend some violence, maybe some workshop that has to do with youth against violence. um Talking the topic on the agenda for that workshop could be violent situations, or how to handle violent situations, or how to do away with violence. And then you start from there, because you see the tendency to behave violently developed during childhood. It developed during childhood. Yes, it needs to be worked on. So such program are school based. Yes, such program as school based. These programs sometimes you have schools administrators having a workshop. You have people coming from different NGOs talking about violence in schools. Some involve the family or the community. So yes, for me, I tell you, begin at home. If a child behave in a violent way, you have to call them to a point to discipline them and sometimes tell them what to do or what not to do. So if somebody say a fool, you chunk the person, no, you don't behave like that. Sometimes you spank the child, teaching that child that it's not right that you chunk somebody, or it is not right that you bite somebody because somebody is holding your hand. All of these things start from childhood. So you need to work on that. So I'm sure that Vivian issue started from childhood. Yes, you don't, woman, you don't just behave in a violent form like that. You don't just behave like that. So the most successful violence prevention program are those that target all children, not just those who are considered to be at risk for violence. Yes. So it target all children, not because you are at risk or because you are at risk. It target, it teaches you a whole lot. And in addition, the most success has been found in school-based program. Yes. So in class, teachers will react. Teachers should take a stand. You start teaching. While at home, they're teaching you. You start teaching at home. You start teaching at the campuses. You start teaching at schools, universities. These are things that need to be taught. Even in UL, people need to know that they need to talk about the issue of violence so that people will not suffer, because experiencing violence is not good. Witnessing it is not good. Yes. So there are a variety of programs that have been developed to reduce or prevent violence in individuals who have already shown a tendency towards violence. So if you have shown that tendency towards violence, there are a lot of programs. There are a lot of programs. There are a lot of teaching on the internet how to control your anger. First, let's start from there. How do I control my anger that will lead me not into violent acts? So you see, start from the internet. Read. You can read. You can try to do the basic, right? You can try to set the basics so that you can do away with this. And then, for example, a number of prison-based programs attempt to reduce the likelihood of reoffending among violent and non-violent criminals. So I think even in the prison, there should be programs that will you will go out to the prison compound, you will go there, you talk to people about the act of violence. So if there be a chance that when they come out, these things will not be repeated again. So I agree with my CEO Andy Bobleja, what he said. The act of violence, they need to enforce it. They need to enforce the act of violence. NGOs need to get into this issue of violence. Sometimes when we talk about sexual abuse, we talk about rape, we cannot seize down on these topics because they involve within violence, in a broad range. But in so doing, we too have to talk about the different form of violence, not only being exact or being stigmatized to just one thing, rape, assault, homicide, or we need to talk about the broad things. We need to talk about the bigger picture of violence. We need to talk about it. So we need to go into the prison compound, talk to prisoners who are there. If they have the chance, even they are still there, they need to be talked to. There are still abusers in prison. There are still child abusers. There are still domestic and violence people in prison. There are still people who assault people. There are still people who commit homicide in prison. People who kill another a person who kill another person. So these are things that need to be addressed. These are things that need to be addressed. So you see, violent offenders may be receiving training to improve parenting or other relationship skills. Yes. If you're a violent person, you need to receive training to improve as a parent. Because if you can improve, you being a single person and then you have a child, it's even going to be worse. It might flow down to that child due to your actions. So violent offenders receive training to improve parenting and other relationship skills. And then there are mental health practitioners to help to in a aspect, so such as substance abuse treatment. So you have people who will help you, mental health person who will help you in this aspect. Job training is another common component of prison-based prevention programs. So you see, all of these things you don't really see it happening in Liberia. You don't see people talking about it as it relates to violence, but we need to talk about it. Violence is something that is so bad. So now, reason we are talking about this violence issue is important because we will be facing election come October 10. Let us do away with all forms of violence. All forms of violence. Not because somebody in you, not on the same party. So you say I'm about to the person or to go kill the person. Or you send somebody to beat somebody. The person campaigning for the other person is just saying group of people they beat the person mercilessly. Is bad. So all form of violence, let's do away with it. This election, like I said, Liberia is what we have. Liberia is what we have. Liberia is all we have. Liberia must be all we got. So if you hear me and I'm saying these things and you are watching me, understand that we have to protect the peace of our country, Liberia. How can we protect the peace of our country, Liberia, if we are so emotional, if we react to every little talk from Tom, from Jerry, from Peter, from Paul? How will we react? How will we be able to handle this election that we want to be free and fair of violence? How can we handle it? So you see, let us do away with all forms of violence. Violence is not good. For some of you who just decide that the only thing you want to do in your life is just to rape, it's just to molest children, or it's just to assault women, right? Do away with it. It's not good. Remember, violence, regardless of it cost, regardless of what costs you to carry on a violent act, regardless of that, regardless of the causes, any form of violence, it has a negative impact on those who experience it and those who witness it. It have a negative impact. So you feel within yourself like you can just jump up because your sexual feeling, you want to rape somebody, you can just jump up and rape somebody. Yes, because you are the best doctor for raping in like bro. And just feel you can do it. And then you just go ahead and do it. It has a negative impact. Bear in mind today, it has a negative impact. You might be raping somebody, won't say you get HIV and AIDS. Your just by your experience, it might lead to something terrible. Or just by you witnessing it, just by you witnessing violent act, you witnessing somebody killing somebody, it has an effect on you, a negative effect. It has a negative effect. Sometimes it has psychological effect as well. Depression, anxiety, stress. So you have to work on these things. Let us do away with violence in our country, Liberia. Let us do away with violence in our country, Liberia. Liberia is what we have. Liberia is what we must protect. Liberia is all we have. Do away with violence. Violence is not good. There are causes of violence. There are types of violence. We have homicide, the killing of human being by another person or by another human being. Sometimes for a legally justifiable reason. Sometimes there's no reason. People just kill someone for nothing. Because she slapped me, or because she always talking to me, she always provoking me. So I would just joke that one would never. One day I would just beat her. That whole story will end between me and her. You go beat the person and your experience. Just by you the first time hitting somebody, you have that negative impact in your life. The person die, you have to go to jail. You have to face some legal approach. So you see, all forms of violence are bad. Assault, physically attacking another person with the intent to cause harm. Assault, you're attacking someone just to cause harm. That is an assault. Robbery. Vivian experienced now. How she when she later get complain. She when she did this, she did that. Her experience now. Like it leads to the thing to the that she gotta live with for the rest of her life. She gotta live with it, her characteristics, her attributes, all of these things. She gotta live with it for the rest of her life. So you have to do away with violence. Violence is not good. Violence is not something that you should even be able to manage. Do not manage it. Do not manage it. You can manage aggression too. Don't even manage aggression because aggression will lead to violence. So do away with violence. keep your eyes open, do away with your emotional act. Sometimes people are emotional, but they are not quick to react. There are people who are emotional who deal with you in a different form. So do away with violence today so that you can have a safer life, you can have a healthier life, and you can have a life that is worth. So you can have a life that is worth it. So like you see in Nigeria, most of the times when you're about to travel, they'll tell you say go for a police, I think police clearance or something. So you see, if you are a violent person you live with in our community, tell me how you gonna get a police clearance. Even though we know this is Liberia, anything can happen anytime, which of course I don't stand with and I don't support that particular statement. But how you gonna get police clearance? How you gonna get a clearance that this thing that you did is okay, or this thing that you did is not good, or this thing that your act in your community can speak for you? Okay, the minute you go to the police station, I've been know you ever since you come to travel or you wanna work. Get these people. I recommend. I'm the chief here, chief in command. Go to that lady. She'll process your document. Just go for an interview. Follow your process. Now, stay upon. How many of us sometimes we try to follow the undercover way because of our acts, because of our violent acts, because of the way we behave, because of how aggressive we are that have led to us always being in a act or being so violent. So you see that these are things that we need to work on. And the Abu Bijalo, thanks for the message, and we hope to keep the peace. Like, is all we have. You said that, my sister. Thanks so much, Abu Bijalo, for watching. Yes, Liberia is all we have. Liberia is what we have, and we must protect the peace that we have within our country, Liberia. So, understand these few quotes or understand these few motivation as it relates to violence. Before I leave you, we have just like roughly 3 more minutes. Great anger and violence can never build a nation. Great anger and violence can never build a nation. If you are so angry all of the time, if you get so angry with every little thing that happen, you want to react to it. Anger and violence can never build a nation. To all of our leaders who are wanting for a political seat come October 10, anger and violence can never build a nation. Not because this group is here and chanting battle cry and they are provoking you, you get angry, so you go ahead to your own battle cry, and all of a sudden you tell your group to react. The form of reacting, the form of anger and violence can never build a nation. Anger and violence can never build a nation. Anger and violence can never build a nation. To be a leader, you must be able to take the mess to make it the best. To be a leader, you must be able to take the mess to make it the best. You must be able to take the worst to make it the best. Remember, I told you when I started on Monday, to be the best, you must be able to handle the worst. If you want to be a leader, you must be able to handle the worst. You must be able to take the mess. As leaders, you have to be patient. You don't have to let your anger win. Every little thing somebody say, you want to react to it. Every little thing somebody say, you want to react. You want to show how emotional you are. It's not called for. We are effectively destroying ourselves by violence, mm? masquerading our love. So whenever we are destroyed by violence, it masquerades our love. So violence is violence and can in no way be misconstrued. Violence is violence and can in no way be misconstrued as discipline under any circumstance, culture, or otherwise. Violence can never be any culture, in no circumstance, get that straight. So at any given moment, you have the power to say this is not how the story is going to end. Remember, violence is not good. At the end of the day, violence never really solve any problem. It just create new ones. Of course. So I'm leaving you with this quote today. If you are a female and you watch this video, please post this on your social media page and then just tag Focal Online TV. Let's know that you are following us. Or if you are a male and you are watching me, thanks for watching. But you could also add this on your day and tag Focal Online TV saying, at the end of the day, violence never really solve any problem. It just create new ones. Looking back at our country past record, violence doesn't solve any problem. If it was, or if it did, then we couldn't have been where we are, or we would not be where we are today. So you see, violence doesn't solve any problem. At the end of the day, it just make matter worse. So please do away with violence. Thanks for watching. I'm always here on Focal Women Talk every Wednesday at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. And I'm wrapping up. I will be Jalo commented again. If you are depressed, you are living in the past. If you are anxious, you are living in the future. If you are at peace, you are living in the present. Stop all form of violence. Thanks, Abu B Jalo, for following. I really appreciate you. Thanks to all of our viewers. Remember, Abu B Jalo, if you are hearing me, at the end of the day, violence can never really solve any problem. Violence never solve any problem. At the end of the day, violence never solve any problem. It just create new ones. It just create new problems. Remember, regardless of the cause of violence, all form of violence have negative impact. The person who experiences it, the person who witnesses it, have negative impact. So, at the end of the day, violence can never really be solved or can never really solve any problem. It creates new ones. This is our close up. Thanks for watching Focal Women Talk here on Focal Online TV. Remember, today is Wednesday. Today is Ladies' Night. Try to enjoy yourself. You have just one life. Do it in a positive form. Do away with violence. Try to go home sooner so you can be faced and you can experience any form of violence. And I mean, I love you and I appreciate you joining me here in studio. Continue to join me because next week we're going to be talking about some interesting topics. Yeah, again on Focal Online TV as it relates to the Focal Women Talk. Thanks for watching. I'm your host on Focal Women Talk here, and today our topic was violence. This is how we close up. I love you. Thanks for joining me. I am Gregphina, your host.